Good evening. It's so good to be back with you. It's Monday. No, it's Tuesday. No, it's Monday. Oh my God. That's what happens when the time flies by. In any event, it's time to get back to Rise of the False Gods. And tonight, as I promised, we are going to be looking at the Sabbath. Okay. It says here, oh, and by the way, if this is your first time, you can go to YouTube and you can click there and see all the previous study group gatherings on Rise of the False Gods. And you can also subscribe. Please know that I welcome questions, comments, and your presence here tonight. And just feel free to pop in, and I may or may not see your question, but I will get to it after the group is over. So tonight we are going to be talking about Sabbath. And how many of you went and read it? I'll bet Cheryl did, because she's right on top of everything. Sabbath is so misunderstood by so many people. You know, they'll say, remember to keep holy the Sabbath. And that's a good thing. It's a good thing. But we forget that what it really means. We think it means, you know, you got to go to church, you got to be in church for hours, you got to listen to a minister or a priest or a rabbi drone on, and, you know, it just seems like a heck of a way to spend, you know, your day off. But see, what we teach in Unity is practical Christianity, practical spirituality, by whatever faith group you belong to. So I kind of I'm going to read, because, you know, that's what I find is the most efficient way of making sure that I cover everything. It says, 6 days you shall labor and do all your work, but the seventh day is a Sabbath to the Lord your God. In it you shall not do any work. Boy, I know that's hard. And it is a predicament, again, because if we misunderstand it, and if we think it's all about spending the whole day, you know, just praying or being, you know, in church. I'm just going to tweak this a little bit, if you don't mind. It's a little too high. There we go. Okay. But it means so much more than that, because if you are in church all day, or most of the day, or you're praying or whatever, we're very likely to get frustrated and cramped. Look at it this way. The Sabbath is a gift to us. It is a blessing to us. And that's how I would like, if there was one thing I wanted to help you shift tonight, it would be how we see the Sabbath. Okay. It says, remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. The word Sabbath means rest, and the word holy means whole. Whole in body, whole in mind, whole in spirit. We are required to take one day to rest, connect with God, and release all our concerns. Can we imagine that? Can we imagine a day of rest and peace? You could really challenge yourself, if you read in the back about the Sabbath exercise, turn the TV off for the whole day. Now, that doesn't mean you have to be on your knees for the day. As a matter of fact, there's kinds of work that are not really work. They actually are meditative and prayerful. If you like to work in your garden, not to get the job done, not because you got weeds and they gotta go, but because you love to touch the soil and to to clean your garden and to watch the things grow and it feeds your soul. And as you're gardening, you're meditating. You know, meditating, you can do it in so many ways. I mean, yes, you can sit and even do that crisscross your legs yoga style and and that's very good. And it's good to do that sometimes, but very often it's like a sign I used to see that people had in their gardens, and it said something about no matter where they are, they find closest to God, they feel closest to God in their garden. And for some people, that's true. One of the things that makes me feel wonderful and close to God and spiritual and peaceful and meditative is cooking. Not cooking like I've got to cook supper, I got to get it done, or I don't want this food to spoil, but cooking for the sheer love of cooking, for the love of food and the gift that it is. See, that is restful. That's what we're meant to be, is restful. Now, you can watch a movie on the Sabbath, but what kind of movie are you watching? If you're watching a movie that is violent or even a murder mystery, that's not going to align you. It's not going to give you a break. You can get that every day of the year. Think of Sabbath as a time to take a break. Remember how I talked about the four quadrants of consciousness? If you had a rectangular box, and it's in the book, you can find it in the book. If you had a rectangular box and the bottom half was divided into quadrants, the bottom two quadrants are human thought and human emotions. And the upper ones are spiritual sensing and intuiting. It's intuitive sensing. So we have intuitive sensing and we have human thought and emotion. Now, do you see how both of those are having to do with the same type of energy, only one is human energy and the other is spiritual energy? So if you were to imagine taking a Sabbath, what if you were to look at it like it was a house, okay? So there was a set of stairs that were going from the downstairs, the human thought and human emotions, and it went upstairs to spiritual thought, intuitive sensing. That none of this stuff down here mattered for this one day. Imagine what that break would be like. See your tension falling away. Reconnect with the truth. You know, it's hard. It's hard to live in the world of manifestation, in the world of appearances. Right now, with Ruth Bader Ginsburg passing away, most of us are aching in our hearts, and we're fearful about what's going to happen next, about how are we going to have justice. One person posted on Facebook saying, well, there's no longer a voice for women in the world. There's no way for women's rights. Well, there is, and that voice is our right, our voice. But if we stay in our lower consciousness, and if we fear and worry and chew it up, man, we are going to burn out our battery. Think about, okay, let's go back up the stairs. You go up the stairs from our day-to-day mundane living, and we go upstairs and we plug in our charger to spirit. We unplug it from down here, from this human thought, go upstairs and plug it into the spiritual realm. You know what? You may not believe this, but the world is gonna turn, even if you step away from it for a day. Nothing is that you can do in this one day is going to matter in the big picture as much as taking this spiritual retreat. It's a retreat from day-to-day life. And it doesn't mean you can't enjoy time with your family. It means that it's a time when, again, step away from the things of this world. Sitting around with the family and watching TV is a lot of fun, but sometimes going out for a walk, enjoying nature together, maybe talking about that, maybe having a heart-to-heart that's long overdue. Maybe it's asking your questions of someone else, getting their input. You know? Yes. Yes, and like Cheryl says, prayer is helpful to plugging in and taking my daily retreat. Absolutely. And one prays that one would think or hope that, as I believe it was Paul said, that we should pray without ceasing. So that means we take everything to God. And what a time, and that we should be doing that every day in our day-to-day lives. But imagine if we turned away from, in the Bible, Jesus talks about going into your closet and closing the door. It was interpreted as closet. I don't think Jesus meant closet, especially because they didn't have closets and closet doors, I don't think, back then. I don't know. But that you would come away and close the door on the day. That's on the mundane. Think of it this way: mundane, carnal, lower. So for this one day, recharge, refresh. It doesn't mean you have to leave the world. You have to step away from that consciousness. Okay. 6 days you shall labor and do all your work. We may not believe it, but we can get all of our work accomplished in 6 days. I know that gets your hackles up, declaring this is an impossibility, to which I reply, if God can do it, so can we. Rest and renewal and refreshment, regeneration to our body and our mind and our spirit is so empowering. And I think that we need to ask ourselves, if you can't find this day to rest, and if you can't find this day to give your spirit, your higher self, ask yourself why. What is it that makes you think you can't take a day away from the mundane chores? That dust is going to be there tomorrow. It's not going to multiply 100-fold. It may get a little thicker, but it's not going to get that thick. You can do this. Think again. Purpose versus task. Remember we talked about that? Purpose versus task. What is your purpose? My purpose today is to reconnect to my spiritual life, my spiritual being, to God. So if you're in your garden and you are enjoying it and maybe you're pulling some weeds, sorry about that, God, I know you made them all for good, but pulling your weeds and doing your things and looking at your flowers and enjoying their fragrance. Or for me, I don't do flower gardens. The gardens I had were vegetable gardens, but I loved it. And I'd be out there and I'd be doing my gardening and I would be looking and saying, oh my God, that is so beautiful. Lord, look at how these wonderful things are growing. And I did help. I'm helping right now. But it's a pleasure. It's not where I'm looking toward the false gods of money or ego If I were in that garden and I was only thinking about how I wanted to win the garden show, or I wanted to have the biggest a pumpkin, and in in the fair, which of course we're not having this year because of COVID. But if you think about that, what are you doing while you're working? Are you griping about the work? Are you griping about the weeds? Or are you just purely enjoying connecting to spirit, to nature? That's the difference. So if you're gardening because you feel closer to God when you garden, and it relaxes you and it renews you, your task is matching your purpose. If you are being persnickety and either griping about everything or whatever, your task is contrary to your purpose. I like a clean house. Can cleaning your house, which is work, be a Sabbath? It depends. Cleaning my house makes me feel good when it's done. But I think that if we are not, here's a good way. If you want to clean your house and be practicing Sabbath, we want to rest our mind from our worries. We want to rest our heart from fear and negative emotions. So if we put on some good old church music or spiritual music that uplifts us, and as we're cleaning, we're thanking God for all the good things we have, all the gifts we have. On the other hand, if we're cleaning the house and we're moaning and groaning and we're not happy and we're feeling put upon and picking on anyone else that's in the house about either the kids bringing toys out, or the husband not picking up his underwear off the floor, or the cat missing the litter box, these things happen, So, you see, purpose versus task. This is my day to be spiritual. But no matter how we tell ourselves it's going to work, we have to really, if we want the maximum benefit, we must turn off at some point of the day, close our eyes, turn within, and listen. Listen for spirit. Listen for God. Now, you may not hear words, but if you listen in this time of Sabbath, and you give thanks for all you have, and you reflect on the power and the good things God has done, and you remind yourself there is one presence and one power in the universe and in my life, God the good, omnipotent. Even if Ruth Bader Ginsburg died, how could that happen? She was 87 years old, and she was working hard and battling and battling for us. So we could say, thank you, God. Thank you, God, for Ruth Bader Ginsburg and everything she brought us. She helped to make sure that we had rights, that women had rights they'd never had before. I saw a Ruth Bader Ginsburg face mask, and it said, a woman belongs anywhere decisions are made. Isn't that beautiful? And it's on two different levels, because look at this. All decisions should not be made by the thinking nature, or what is called the male nature. All decisions should not be made simply by the female nature, which is the feeling nature. It is the thinking and the feeling that come together that make wholeness and good decisions. That doesn't mean you're missing out on a thing if you're single. Don't worry about this. We all have both the thinking and the feeling natures, and our goal is to bring them into balance. And one of the ways we do that is by daily prayer time, absolutely daily prayer time, and give one day to the Spirit. So if you don't like the word God, I'm going to give this day to God. If that bothers you, think about, I'm going to give this day to Spirit. I'm going to give it to my spiritual health. When I practiced a Sabbath a while ago, what I would do is every Sunday I would not even eat. I would like fast during the Sabbath. All of that is in the back of the book. I have a Sabbath exercise. If you don't have the book, you can get it on Kindle. If you're an Amazon Prime member, you can get it for free. And you can look back, look at what all the things that, because we have a lot of exercises from the book are in the back. Okay. And remember that purpose versus task. All during the day that's the least thing we can do. When is your Sabbath? What works for you? Okay? What works for you? For me, Monday is good because in my job at the campground, every day is busy, and then usually the campers go home on Monday. I can get me some peace and prayer time. So it says the seventh day, so that is the seventh day because God did all his work. Let's say you do all your work and your Sabbath happens to be Monday or Wednesday or Friday. Sunset to sunset. Now here's another thing. You know, back in the day, when I was younger, much younger, I don't think they changed this until probably the 70s or 80s. Sunday, the stores were closed. Now, for some reason, restaurants were open. I guess you gotta eat. That was considered, what do they call that, an essential business? But somebody had to work, but that's good. Why one person is Jewish and they take their Sabbath from Friday night to Saturday night. Okay, then I can work then when it's not my Sabbath, it's your Sabbath, so you can enjoy your Sabbath. We all work together, isn't that amazing? But imagine if the whole world, not by force, but by choice, took one day and gave it to God. What if war stopped on one day? 1 day a week, no war. Wow. What do you think would happen if we got that one day to ponder, to look at it, to weigh it out in our hearts and in our souls? At least back when we were, back in the day when the stores were closed, shopping was not an option. I'm very happy to see that some stores, even before COVID, had started to say, no, we're not doing that Black Friday thing anymore. And that's a good thing. I mean, they even were going so far as to be open on Thanksgiving. Hurry up, wolf that down. We got to go spend our money. What God are we worshiping then? Mammon. We want to get stuff. Mammon. Mammon wants us to work day and night and never stop. Put all the offering on Mammon's altar. Okay? Give me your life. Put it here. Don't take time with your family. You got to make some money. You got to get some more stuff. You don't have enough stuff. Hey, wait, you got to work now because you got a storage shed for all your stuff, right? You got to work to pay for the storage shed to store your stuff, and then you're going to have to get a bigger storage shed because you got more stuff. I'm not joking, folks. Drive around town and look at the storage sheds. If you got a storage shed, and it's not because you're moving someplace else and you got to store the stuff until you need it, think about this. Maybe you got too much stuff. Wouldn't it be wonderful if some of the stuff that you had, that you really aren't using, you could give to somebody that doesn't have? That's another way of being holy. This is all about being holy. We have become, I'm reading now at the bottom of page 45, we have become in America a nation of driven overachievers, running nonstop, 24/7, 365. This is good, we erroneously believe that it's all up to us. We have to have it all. Many parents are indoctrinating their children to this dogma of false gods, believing there's never enough, and believing they have to exceed and be better than the neighbor. You know what, they got to be the best. They got to get the trophies. They got to do it all. They've got to take karate and ballet and belong to scouts and all the stuff all at the same time. We're not teaching our children to stop and be prayerful, meditate. There is a town, I understand, I wish I remember where it was. There's a town in Ohio where the children are taught to meditate. The whole town stops at midday to meditate. And the town, I understand, is thriving and peaceful. That's power. That's real power. We make the kids think if they're not getting the straight A's and they're not getting the trophies. Oh, so then there's the other side of that, where everybody has to have a trophy. No, I'm not for that school either. Achievement awards because we work hard, okay. But remember, basically, we're mostly competing against ourselves, our lower selves. Okay, how true the scripture is that the sins, the errors, excuse me, of the fathers are passed on to their children for 4 generations. Now, I don't know if you've read that scripture, but this is the way I see it. If I make my child acquisitive, they should be inquisitive, but we make them acquisitive. If I make my child acquisitive, or thinking if they don't get A's, they don't measure up, or thinking that it's imperative they get a trophy, or they're not as good as everybody else, or thinking they have to be everything to everybody, chances are they are going to carry that to their children. And I believe it takes 4 generations. 4 is it's called a 4 square number. It means a solid number, to be solid. So 4 generations to unprogram it. This is why addiction is, do you ever notice addiction it's both physical and environmental. We pass it on to our children. How long does it take to get whatever dis-ease, whatever keeps us from being in a state of ease? Okay? We have to program that out. So maybe some stuff takes 4 lifetimes. Ooh, that's just one thing. I think I'll be coming back for a while. Okay, the most important part of Sabbath is releasing everything to God. Imagine going back up those stairs, the Sabbath stairs, getting to the higher level of consciousness, taking the altar, and putting your problems on it. Put your problems, put our politics, put the wildfires, just for today. You can, when you go back downstairs, that stuff's going to be waiting for you. But when you lift up for your Sabbath, put it, let God have it on the altar. The image of many of us have as regarding Sabbath is one of kneeling in church for hours. I already said that, so I'm not going to go back there. I wish I could understand my handwriting. Need to press in to the clutch. That's it. You know how, do you drive a Standard? I don't know who drives a Standard. I still drive a Standard. When I went to buy my new car, and the guy, he actually said, "You drive a Standard?" Fathers don't even teach their daughters to drive Standards anymore. Oh, please, I like a Standard. But what you have to do when you drive a Standard, you can't just shift gears, okay? That goes, and it's very bad for the clutch, the car, the gear, whatever. So what you have to do is you've got to push in the clutch when you push in the clutch, you disengage the gears, shift down the shifter, and then release the clutch, and it comes back into the right place. We have to do the same thing. We can't just stop. We have to push in the clutch. So maybe what I was talking about how you spend your day when you're trying to spend a Sabbath, and maybe you're doing a little gardening, and maybe you're doing a little cooking. What if that is what we do that's how we push in the clutch, so we can disengage the gears and shift into a lower gear, and then we can relax, you see? So sometimes what we are doing may, push that clutch, let us disengage. We have to disengage from all our stuff. It takes a while. All right. Taking a day of Sabbath is like getting a spiritual transfusion. Did you ever feel like you needed a transfusion? Now, did you notice all this talking I did? I didn't talk about going to church. Do you have to be in church to be holy? Maybe not, but it helps, because that is where you are going to find like-minded individuals that come together. They give us spiritual support. I watch church on TV because even a minister needs to be ministered to. And I keep saying I'm going to get back to doing my services online. You can go onto Spirit of Unity Church and find me there to watch my former messages. But anyway, we chase our error beliefs instead of happiness, not trusting the principles we practice. Note that I have a Sabbath exercise in the back of the book. So look that up, and it's time for us to part for tonight. And I hope that we will see each other tomorrow night. And I'm going to be talking about honoring our father and mother. What if they weren't real nice? We'll talk about that tomorrow. Meanwhile, God bless and have a great day. Bye-bye.